right, guys, I just finished my beginner's class in autocross and did my first I think it was around 5 or 6 laps on the autocross course. And I have to tell you, it's amazing. And this car is amazing. So I had a really good instructor. Well, let me back up. At the beginning of the day, it was more of a classroom setting from like 9 o'clock in the morning till about noonish. And it was really just going over the rules of autocross, what to expect, how in a normal autocross day, not only are you driving, but you're helping by picking up cones that may have been knocked over or whatever duties that need to be done. So you're always going to be busy during a normal autocross. They walk you through, you know, what the gates look like, what the cones look like, what a rolled over cone, what a leaned over cone means. That means that you need to go to the direction of that cone and things like that. So that was the morning. But in the afternoon, we were split up into 2 groups because they had only a limited number of instructors to ride with you. So I had to wait for kind of like an hour or so for my group to drive the course. But before anybody drove the course, we walked the course, and I found out why that was so important. You can see where the turns are going to need to be made. An instructor kind of walks you through what your braking points are, and it's a lot to process. It's like, oh my gosh, how am I going to remember all this? And so it's kind of intimidating, to be honest with you. It's like you're just looking at this sea of cones, and it's like, how am I going to navigate and create a course out of this? But they give you good instruction and advice on what to do there. And then the fun part is you get in the car, and I found my instructor, Todd, to be very, very helpful. He told me at certain points to aim for the back cone. If there was a series of cones representing a slalom, aim for that back one, and be smooth on the throttle, kind of hold the throttle down where I would normally have a tendency to lift up. It's a lot of fun. In fact, this particular instructor in last year, I think it was, either last year or year before last, he won the whole category for his classification in Porsche Club of America, New York. So he was very helpful in offering advice on how to navigate the course while driving. He said that I was a natural at this and was pretty smooth in my driving. I'd never spun, but I did lose it. You know, I came in way too hot towards one of the later runs. I think I was pushing it a little bit much. And one thing he advised was for me to keep my eyes up so I could see the cones and the path that I needed to take farther ahead of me. And I think that time when I almost lost it, I was looking and aiming at the cone right in front of me. So he said I did pretty well, you know, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back per se. It's just that coming into this event, I was really intimidated, and because like, I don't know how this is going to go. But at the end of it, I know I have a lot to learn, but I did pretty well. I think I held my own in this car and on that track. Now, am I the fastest? No. This is, again, my first time doing this. I had so much fun. I mean, I could see doing this again. I think it helped having the instructor in the car with me. The one thing I will say is, as you're driving this car, and because the turns are so tight, because it's an autocross, the turns are really rapid fire quick, you're not going that fast. You know, I didn't look at the speedometer, so I couldn't tell, but the instructor says, you know, you're only doing like 40, 50 miles an hour or whatever, but it's because the turns are so tight and stacked together that you get this real sensation of speed, and you really feel the car move around underneath of you. You really feel whether or not the tires are gripping the road or not, and you do get those sensations. Now, I've kept this car in Sport Plus the whole time, which therefore the traction control and the safety systems didn't intervene too much. It let me slide the car around or let the car drift where it needed to. So I really enjoy that sensation. So it really gave me the ability to really feel the G-forces. And also the interesting thing was feel the tires like grabbing for grip. You know, that's an interesting feeling. Now I'm running, it's cold right now as I drive home, it's 31 degrees. So I have Michelin Alpine tires on here, winter tires on here, not summers. So these tires are made for these conditions, but they're not as sticky as summer tires in the heat of summer. So it'll be interesting as the weather warms up and I put the Pirellis back on this car, what the car will feel like and what the level of grip will feel like. So really a great day. As you can tell, I'm pumped up. I wish I could drive more. I guess the only downside of the day is because I was in group 2, I had to kind of wait for a whole hour before getting onto the track, and then I'm only able to do 5 or 6 laps. So you want, as a driver who's enjoying the drive, you want more time in the drive, and that's probably if I were to say the only negative. Now again, this was just a beginner course, morning session in the classroom, and just a limited time in the afternoon for actual driving. So considering all of that was accomplished today, it was a really good day. And if you have a local driving club like Porsche Club of America near you, or I'm sure BMW, or even other kinds of clubs that aren't associated with manufacturers near your area, and you enjoy driving, I highly endorse it. I think it's such a fun activity for you to do and get involved with. And the good thing is it's in a controlled environment. People are friendly. That's the other thing. The group of guys that I met today were so nice and so friendly because we're all car guys. We all enjoy this sport of driving cars. So it was a real welcoming atmosphere. So I had a lot of fun. And I feel it's much better to drive that way in a controlled environment than out here on the highway where you could lose your license and, you know, get a ticket. You know, who needs all that? It's an outlet for you to really see what your car can do in a safe place. So anyway, look at this traffic. After that much fun, you gotta like slog home in this. Oh, but one PS. One thing I wanted to mention was I did not hit any cones. So I'm proud of myself about that. I didn't hit any cones. The reason why I mention that is in autocrossing, the way it works is you're not racing against another person on the course at the same time as you. That's not how it works. Autocrossing is always about getting the best time getting through that course. So getting through the course in the shortest amount of time. And if you hit a cone, that's considered a violation, and they add 2 seconds per cone. So, and 2 seconds is a lot of time to add when they tell me some of the winners are decided by the thousandths of a second. That's the gap is that narrow between some of the highly competitive cars, is it's down to the thousandths of a second. So you don't want to hit cones. You want to be as smooth as possible and carry as much speed as possible so that your time is the quickest. And you don't want to miss any gates. So I almost missed a gate when I mentioned that before. I said I almost lost it because I came in way too hot on a particular turn. And you know what, I have to admit, take that back. Maybe in my first run, I think I may have missed a gate. So I take that back. I have to be honest. I think in one of my first runs, I may have missed a gate. So yeah, all right, so I missed one up. So there you go. But I'm proud of myself for not knocking over any cones. What this kind of sport rewards is precision. And what I have to learn, especially in slaloms, I tend to want to lift up to slow down. And he kept saying, no, just hold a little bit of that throttle. You don't have to floor it, but you want to keep the momentum going. The instructor had said, either you want to be pressing the throttle or braking. You don't want to be coasting. And he said, coasting is a waste of time. So there's a lot I have to learn, but it's fun, and I can see how autocrossing can make you just a better driver. It makes your reflexes better while driving. If you need to take an evasive maneuver, you know how the car is going to behave in that evasive maneuver. yeah, there's a lot of benefits to this sport I can see. One thing the instructor said was during each run, progressively I was going faster and faster, and he could tell. He could tell for a number of reasons, but one reason is, I'm in PDK, I have it in Sport Plus, so it holds gears longer when you're in the higher rev band, because that's where all your power is. And he said, typically that course is a second gear course, pretty much in second gear the whole way. Well, towards the end, the last few runs, I was getting up into third gear. So he could tell I was getting progressively faster during each run. So I'm proud of that too. So I think with more time and more experience, I think I'll get progressively better and better. I'm sure there's experienced autocrossers out there who are listening to this and are like, oh, you're just, I get it. I got a lot to learn. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just excited by the progress. That's all. I'm just excited, and that I did pretty well for my first time out. Again, I'm sure there's experienced autocrossers out there who will blow me away. They may even have, a 1980s era 911. They'll probably be faster than me. I get it. I got a lot to learn, but I think I fared pretty well. So with that, I'll say thanks for watching. If you stayed with it as far as you can tell, I'm excited. This was so much fun, and I can't wait to do it again. All right, guys. Talk to you later.